Hello everyone, I'm John Higgins, contributing writer to Film and TV Now and the curator of the YouTube channel John Higgins Film Review, and I'm delighted to welcome one and all to this interview special with Aimi Sela, who is the director of a powerful new short drama called Color of Autumn, which reflects on the conflicts that defined the mid-1960s in America, and it's the story of a sheltered young black girl who encounters casual racism for the first time. Now, Aimi is a writer-director of Nigerian descent, raised by a Jewish Israeli family from the Bronx, and her award-winning short films have screened at numerous festivals across the world. Her work interrogates the human condition, but with empathy, as she truly believes we all live the same lives, we're just colored differently. Her production company, Sela Films LLC, was born out of this belief to help push the boundaries of innovation, inclusion, diversity, creativity, with a focus on humanism. Aimi, a warm welcome to you.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. I saw the short the other day, and it's an interesting one because, as a white male from the UK, I mean, it certain things hit me a lot harder than usual. Obviously, because we're in more enlightened times. So, I just want to ask you, what was the start-off point for the screenplay?
Oh, well, Constance Nicole, she's the writer of the it's a book that she's in the I guess middle of completing, and she wrote a short story, House on Union Street, that was then adopted by Rebecca Bloom and Alexander Engelson, sorry, into a short film. So it's like this long process, a manuscript, a short story from a manuscript that was converted to a screenplay. And Pamela Wise, she's an executive producer on, or producer rather, on this. There's several producers on this film. She's one of them. She met me at Austin Film Festival, I want to say about 4 years ago. We were in this competition, pitch competition for our films. And it was three women consecutively, horror, drama, and comedy. I'm the drama, um, Pamela is the comedy, and this lady Ari was the horror, and the three of us won, like first, second, and third place. And so we kind of like, I guess, a friendship developed from that to myself, between myself and Pamela. And so she spoke to Rebecca Bloom about me and asked her to reach out to me to see if we can, find a director that would be interested in directing this story. So I'm like, okay, sure, I'll read it and see if it's something I can help with or recommend people. So long story short, I ended up agreeing to do the project myself. And so I read the script. And first of all, this is based on a true story. So this actually happened to the author of the book, whose screenplay, which I was adapted into a screenplay. And so that in itself was very, I don't want to say jarring, but very touching, very poignant. It was like, oh my goodness, this is a real story. It's not a fictional piece. And so I took it on. I read the script and I worked with Alex and Rebecca, gave some notes, and they took most of the notes and kind of reworked the script in a way that I felt um, told this story without it feeling preachy. Like we're not trying to say take a message and bang people over the head with it, but we're trying to say just look at this and look at how cruel this is. You decide if this is something that you feel we should do something about. We should educate kids about, because it starts from there. And so, yeah, I would say starting from the ground up, working with the writers on the script and really feeling like we got to the place with the script where I was comfortable going, yes, okay, we can tell the story in a way that would be very effective, because you're not having people block themselves when they come to the story. You're having them be open, and then you're telling them this thing that happened to someone that was horrible, and letting them decide what they think should be done about it. And I thought that would be like a great way to get that message across. And so yeah, we did it
Mhm.
that way.
Okay.
And
So
hopefully the message is
obviously,
coming across.
yeah. So obviously, it touches on crucial issues. I mean, I certainly was shocked. I mean, there's a genuine gut reaction and a shock, which I think is what the point of the thing is. So, what I wanted to know is, what are your hopes for this short? Where do you want it? Where would you like it to have the most impact going forward?
Oh my God, that's a really great question. I mean, ideally, I want everyone to see it, and I want everyone to be impacted by it in a personal way. I yes, you want your film, you want to aim your film to be universal in theme so that everyone can relate. But I feel like until you can find something personal where you can connect, where you can see yourself in the other person can see themselves in you, you're really not going to get what's universal about the theme anyway, right? To either find themselves going, oh my goodness, I get that because I know someone who that happened to, or I had this happen to me in a different way, be it someone who has a disability that you're struggling with and get bullied for that, or someone from a different culture or a different faith or a different sexuality or different anything, something that makes you feel othered or something that makes you see someone as the other, right? I want people to be able to just recognize that, just a little like, oh yeah, I saw something like that happen the other day. I wouldn't have thought about it, maybe if I hadn't seen this film, so that you can start paying attention to when someone is being othered for something they have nothing, something that's not in their control, you know, and just trying to see how you can be an ambassador for change in that way, either by saying something or by partnering with the person, you know. So in the case of kids, it would be either saying something to an adult, like I saw this happening, or standing up for the kids to the best of your ability, or becoming friends with the kids so that they're not so alone, you know. So yes, I want everyone to see this, but I think where we have the most impact, and I genuinely believe this, and this is part of the educational piece that the producers are working on right now, is in the schools with the kids. Mm-hmm. We have to start with the children. Absolutely have to start with the children because they are insanely brilliant. I mean, the kids that I worked with, that I directed on this film, are good examples of how smart these kids are. They're able to understand we spent a good amount of time with them, and they're able to understand the concept and in just discussing with them how they felt about the story, what do they think, you could hear their understanding of it on a fundamental level. Mm-hmm. And so if they know that, okay, this isn't right, not because that person is a good or bad person, but because the action is not good or bad, the action affects someone negatively, then they can take steps not to do that. Mm-hmm. Honest steps not to do that. And so I genuinely want this to be in schools. I want and not just me, the producers want this and they're working on it right now. I believe they're developing a curriculum right now. I don't want to butcher her name, so I have to go get her name, which means my picture is going to disappear for 1 second. But her name is Marissa McGee. Yes, that's her name, Marissa McGee. You can look her up at the producers, Rebecca Bloom, right, Yamora, I'm also butchering her name, I think it's Yamoria, right? Alexandra, as I mentioned, and Pamela, they're all working together with Melissa McGee to come up with a curriculum that will be taught and handed to teachers, obviously in different schools, to help them better educate the kids and intervene and work with them on how to recognize bullying and how to, I know combat sounds like a really strong word, but really how to combat it. Mm-hmm. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, it does. So my next question, actually following on from what you've just said, is what's interesting is that the thing that shocked me the most was the casual racism expression that's expressed in the film. And you had these kids saying these very shocking words, which in any other context, if it wasn't a film, I mean, obviously we could have, it could be a powder keg of things. So I just was curious to know when the kids, these white kids are saying these bad words and stuff, how did you, were they kind of, was there resistance to say it because of how shocking these things were, and how did you rehearse and prepare them to say these things that could have had like such a negative, which are genuinely very derogatory?
Of course. Oh my goodness. There was absolute resistance. Absolutely. Because these, again, like I said, these are brilliant, brilliant kids, and um, they understand this concept, and so there was resistance in that they didn't, not because they didn't want to make a change, there was resistance in that they know this is wrong, and so they want to be a part of this, they want to be a part of the change, and they understand that they have to play this part to help you see how ugly it is, but they know that's not who they are, right? And so there's a little bit of that, like, oh my God, I don't want to do this, but I want to get this message across. I'm like, I wish you could have been there to see the process. I mean, they're just beautiful kids inside and out. Their parents are just, they should win an award. And I, first of all, we interviewed the kids. We did not have them say those words during the audition and the interviews. After we selected the kids that were going to work with us, I literally had meetings with them. And obviously, the parents are involved the whole time. They're aware of what's going on. We discussed with the parents. Okay, the parents read the script. They knew what their kids were going to be asked to do. And so we had to check in with the parents and check in with the kids. Parents spoke with their kids, had made sure they understood this. And one of the biggest things that I think we wanted to get across to these kids was that they are painting a picture so that people can understand how ugly this is. So they were being artists painting a picture. They want you to see, you see how this looks? It's ugly. That's the point. It's not who I am. I'm trying to show you how ugly this is.
Mhm.
And so I think that getting into their mind and that understanding of the fact that they're trying to hold a mirror to this ugly thing and say, look, this is ugly, really helped. And we also had a sensitivity and cultural coach on set with us during the rehearsals and during on set throughout the whole process. And Joy, and she was available not just for the kids, also for any of the crew that might feel kind of affected by what they're watching or being a part of. For the parents who wanted to talk, for the kids after our auditions and during and after acting. So we had, I think, structures in place to make sure that they got all the support they needed to be able to help us paint that picture, because it
Mhm.
wasn't easy for them at all.
Yeah, no, I get that because it again the way they express it, and it's interesting. I want to applaud you for your response, well, actually, and I think they all deserve a medal because I think it's courageous to actually be involved with something that actually I think hopefully this will have to have like key things said about. I mean, you do have a disclaimer at the beginning of the film anyway. I'm going to combine the next couple of questions, which is about the production team and where you shot and for how long, because this film is reflective of two generations. I mean, funny enough, I was thinking of Alex Haley's Roots watching it. It was kind of watching that show, which was major events on UK TV and of course across the world. I thought it's a fascinating thing. So that kind of took me back to that kind of production and stuff. So tell us about the house where you shot and also that area, because it was fascinating to see how you transitioned the whole kind of mixture in the film.
Of course, we shot in California. We're in the Bay Area, Palo Alto. It's around it's the area around where Pamela Wise, our incredible champion producer, lives. And so what they did was Alexander's an incredible producer as well. She and Rebecca and Pamela, I mean everyone, they literally hit the ground looking for homes in the area that could work for a 1960s Chicago house. So that was the first step, was finding the location that could pass. And color of autumn. Yeah, it was supposed to be in autumn. We're supposed to have the green leaves and the color changing. And we got that. So that was amazing. That's another thing about that area. It does have season changes, like you see the leaves change. And these women and their friends went and gathered leaves from, I think, everyone's house. They had bags of garbage. It's like garbage bags of fallen leaves. So then the production design team took all of that and helped convert it, setting up pieces the way you would want them to look. Outside was it was a combination of everyone finding the right location, our production design team coming in and having a picture of what we wanted. So this whole process started with what I'll call my lookbook slash pitch deck. And the lookbook, I design all my lookbooks. And so the lookbook was very clear on what colors I wanted, what tone I was looking for, what the house needed to look like. And I really wanted to have the music from the 1960s play through. So we had to talk about that with the composer, play through the piece. And the biggest thing was, you're going down memory lane. So you're having the adult Dottie in the story tell us what happened to her in the 1960s, young Dottie. And so we needed to have this transitional moment where you go from present day Chicago to 1960s Chicago and come back. And so all of that had to come together in the right location, the homes that we found in Palo Alto, and the production design, and of course the music and the wardrobe, because everybody was in 1960s outfits.
Yeah. It looks so convincing. I mean, I wasn't thinking because I've actually visited the south side of Chicago, so I'm well aware of the architecture. I did it about 10 years ago, and I do think it's very convincing. So obviously, you know, this is a short film, and I'm just curious to know, I mean, are you planning to expand on it into a feature idea? Would you like to explore it further?
Ooh, that's a good question that I would say we should just I think it's going to come down to what the masses want, right? And what the author of the story is comfortable with. And yes, I would love to expand this into a feature if the opportunity presents itself, and if the producers and the author and the world wants that, you know, because I feel like this is a story that you can really explore and really travel with. You can show different aspects of growth. You can there's room to see how Dottie's family dynamic really was inside of the home. There's room to see how she processed what happened on that playground all the way through becoming the adult that she became. You know, there is plenty of room to process that on screen on a 90-minute feature. So I would love to, but I think the biggest thing right now is getting into the schools and getting it into the hands of teachers, and along with the educational material, of course, the curriculum and the workbooks and things like that. So people are talking about it. And if from that conversation we end up talking about making a feature, then yeah, I'm definitely down for it. I'm there.
Okay. So obviously, let's talk a little bit about your own background and your own step into this bit in the business. I mean, what are your just a general question? I mean, who and what are your key cinematic influences?
Oh my goodness, how much time do we have? Okay. Wow. Okay. First funny thing is I actually studied computer engineering and literature. So my background is IT, and I became a self-taught filmmaker, I would say, when I left the IT world, because it just wasn't working for me. And so I learned by doing, and also by watching a ton of films. I mean, growing up in Nigeria, films and books basically were my escape. I also didn't have like the greatest childhood. And so I've always found that films help me make sense of the world. I've watched oh my goodness, where do I start? My influences. I love old movies. There's just a purity to them. I mean, or epic movies like The Red Violin or Mel's Last Dance. Obviously, Daughters of the Dust. Oh, Two Blackboards. This is a really beautiful short film from the Middle East. Um, Nira, she's an amazing. Oh my goodness. Okay, I would just get lost if I have to start picking people that I love as filmmakers whose work influenced me. But I feel like lately the biggest influences you see in my work and from people like Guillermo del Toro, for instance, where he uses telling monster stories to talk about humanity, right? He's a big one. I love everything David Lynch, not Flinch, Lynch, David Lynch. I I feel like a lot of paintings influence my work as well. I mean, the Salvador Dali's and Monishenko's and so on and so forth. So there isn't one thing that I can point to, or one artist, or one film maker that I can point to and say this person influences my work, because I think I take a little bit from all of them. You know, I don't know if you've seen the film 12 Angry Men. That's it's an old movie, and I remember being very captivated by the fact that it could tell such a story by just sitting in one room. You know, The Breakfast Club is another example of that. Um, so for me, it's films that have such intense, deep story that are universal that have universal themes, paintings, music, any form of artwork. Literally just walking down the street and people watching. I do that a lot. I sit down with a cup of coffee and watch people and make up stories about them. So there's a ton of influence in my work in that sense. I know I'm not giving you an exact answer, but I think
No, no,
that's
it's
probably
great, Amy. I mean, it is what it is. But the thing is, you have given a rough idea. I mean, as a film fan myself, I mean, you and I will probably, if we were in a room together, we'd probably spend 24 hours talking about movies because we go from one subject to the next. I think I know where you're coming from, but we only have limited time. So maybe one day you and I will compare our own cinematic love and stuff. We're
Oh
gonna
my God, I love it.
I've got two final questions just to wrap up, really.
Okay.
I understand this short is premiering at the Chicago International Children's Film Festival shortly. And I'm
Yes.
just curious to know when when you look at festivals and stuff like that, because this is the first one. I mean, you've mentioned earlier how you want it to be seen, but what would you like the festival circuit to get from it?
Oh, wow. Um, whew. I think I want them to get what you got. The yes, the shock. I guess is probably what the most accurate word I can think of how casual cruelty can be, and um I almost want to shake people out of that numbness because I feel like we've become a little bit numb as a society. Maybe it's because of the access we have to just cruelty in general on the internet. You can see it and be like everywhere you look, and it's like, okay, yeah, this just happens. And so you don't stop to actually think about it. So when you're in a room with other people, not just by yourself in front of your computer, when you're in the theater with other people, you feel their energy, you have this big screen, play this thing in front of you, everyone reacts to it on a human level. I think you're more impacted. And I think that's the power of sharing space with other people at a theater, or even if it's in like a living room with like a bunch of your friends, or just like or in a classroom with a bunch of your peers. Like you want to experience this with other human beings next to you because there's a transference of energy when that happens, and you get it.
Hmm.
And that's what I want.
Okay. And my final question is, what are you most proud of about this short?
Oh my God, the kids. I mean, I'm proud of everything from the music from Charlie Pump's music to the work the producers did. Oh my goodness, the work they did to put this all together is just insane. But and of course, Constance Nicole's story itself. But it's the kids. I was blown away by their dedication, by how much they wanted to do this right so they can get the message across. I just blown away by that. That's my most proud moment was being around these kids and seeing them do the work. Oh my goodness.
Hmm.
Yeah, I felt good about that.
Okay. Well, Amy, listen, thank you so much for your time and insights today. First of all, congratulations again. You've got an absolutely fantastic and magnificent short, which I think is certainly going to heighten the debate about the whole recent issues of diversity and inclusivity. I think it's a major achievement, and I hope that your production team gets other chances. I hope there is a feature. So just wrapping up, everyone, Color of Autumn, as mentioned, is premiering at the Chicago International Children's Film Festival in on the 14th of November. And if you are sort of looking for it, please do keep your eyes open for it at other festivals as and when it plays. For more interviews like this, you can watch a replay of this on the YouTube channel, John Higgins Film Review, and you can look at my other reviews, articles, and interviews about indie cinema on www.filmandtvnow.com. So on that note, Amy, thank you very much for your time today, and best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you.